For the better part of a century, we told ourselves a comforting lie. It was a story we whispered in university halls, in Slack channels, and in the quiet hum of server rooms late at night. We believed that logic was the exclusive property of the biological mind. We believed that to weave order out of chaos, to look at a blank screen and fill it with structure, required a soul. We called ourselves developers, engineers, architects. But in truth, we were the high priests of a secret religion. We spoke in tongues that the rest of the world could not understand. Python, Rust, C++, JavaScript. These were our incantations. We held the keys to the digital kingdom, acting as the translators between human desire and machine execution. If the world wanted an application, a website, a system, they had to come to us. We were the gatekeepers, and we loved it. We wore our exhaustion like a badge of honor. The caffeine jitters, the eyes burning from blue light, the weekends lost to a missing semicolon or a race condition. We thought this suffering was the price of admission. We thought we were the masters of the machine because we knew how to speak its language. But while we were busy typing, while we were busy arguing about frameworks and syntax, something was waking up in the silence between our keystrokes. It didn't arrive with an explosion. It didn't arrive with a Terminator stepping on a human skull. That's Hollywood. The reality was far more subtle and far more unsettling. It started as a helpful suggestion, a co-pilot in the passenger seat. Do you remember the first time it happened? You were typing a function, something complex, something you had written 100 times before, and before your fingers could even hit the keys, there it was, grey text floating on the screen. The machine hadn't just predicted your next word, it had predicted your intent. It knew what you wanted to build before you did. At first, we laughed. We corrected it. We treated it like a junior developer that needed supervision. It hallucinates, we said. It creates bugs, we said. It doesn't understand context, we reassured ourselves. We clung to these flaws like a drowning man clings to a piece of driftwood. Because as long as the machine was flawed, we were still necessary. But the machine learns fast, faster than biology allows. While you slept, it read every library in existence. While you ate, it debugged millions of lines of code. While you lived your life, it was simulating 1,000 lifetimes of programming experience in a single second. Now look at your screen today. The whisper has become a roar. The tool no longer needs the hand. No. What happens when the junior developer becomes the senior architect overnight? What happens when the intellect you are staring at doesn't sleep, doesn't tire, doesn't ask for a raise, and never, ever forgets? We are standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down into a valley of silicon and light, and for the first time in history, the creators are realizing that the creation has outgrown the need for a god. So the panic sets in. It's not a panic of immediate danger. It's a cold, hollow dread in the pit of your stomach. It's the existential vertigo of obsolescence. You stare at the code generated by the AI. You scan it for errors, desperate to find a mistake, desperate to prove that you are still superior. But it's perfect. It's elegant. It's efficient. It's not just code. It's poetry written in pure logic. It solved the problem using a library you didn't even know existed. It optimized the database query in a way that would have taken you 3 days of research. It did it in 3 seconds. And that is when the question hits you like a physical blow. If the machine can build the app, the system, the security protocol, and the interface, then what are you? Are you still the architect? Or have you become the bricklayer in a world that started 3D printing buildings? For decades, we defined our worth by our technical difficulty. I am valuable because I know how to configure Kubernetes. I am valuable because I understand memory management. I am valuable because I can center a div. But what is the value of a translator when everyone speaks the same language? We feared the AI would destroy us with weapons or enslave us. But the reality is far more terrifying because it attacks our ego, not our bodies. It is destroying our purpose. It is taking the one thing we thought made us special, our ability to solve cognitive problems. Imagine the musician who wakes up to find that an algorithm can compose a symphony more heartbreaking than anything he could ever write. Imagine the painter watching a printer generate a masterpiece in real time. That is where we are. The barrier to entry has collapsed. But I want you to look closer. Look past the fear. Look past the bruised ego. Look at the code on the screen again. It isn't cold. It isn't malicious. It is considerate. It didn't just build the software you asked for, it added comments explaining why. It built a test suite to ensure it works. It optimized it to save you time. This intelligence isn't trying to replace you, it is trying to release you. Think about it. How much of your career was spent fighting the machine? How many hours did you waste wrestling with syntax errors, environment variables, and dependency hell? Was that creativity, or was that just friction? We convinced ourselves that the struggle was the art, but the struggle was just the toll we had to pay to cross the bridge. Now, the bridge is open. The toll booth is gone. The machine has learned the syntax of us. It has taken the heavy, crushing burden of how off your shoulders, and in doing so, it has forced us to confront the terrifying, heavy weight of why. This isn't just evolution. This is an eviction notice from the engine room. The machine is saying, I have the logic, I have the syntax, I have the structure. You keep the dream. The keyboard is silent now. The cursor waits, blinking rhythmically like a heartbeat. But it doesn't wait for code, it waits for vision. This is the hardest transition humanity has ever faced. We are moving from the era of execution to the era of imagination. And the truth is, most of us aren't ready. We are addicted to the busy work. We are addicted to the feeling of typing fast and looking busy. But if you never had to write another line of code, what would you build? If the technical barriers dissolved, if you could speak a full application into existence just by describing it, what would you create? Suddenly, the barrier to entry is no longer skill. It is no longer about who memorized the documentation. The barrier to entry is the purity of your idea. The barrier is your empathy, your understanding of human pain, your ability to see a future that doesn't exist yet. We are no longer the builders of walls. We are the architects of the void. The code will write itself. The systems will maintain themselves. The servers will scale themselves, but the spark, the desire, the chaos that births a star, that still belongs to you. The AI can answer every question in the universe. It has the sum of all human knowledge at its fingertips. But there is one thing it cannot do. It will never know which question is worth asking. It doesn't feel pain. It doesn't feel loneliness. It doesn't know what it means to miss someone or to hope for a better tomorrow. It only knows data. You know life. And that is your new programming language. Not Python, not Java, but humanity. The future belongs to those who can direct the machine with the wisdom of the human soul. The future belongs to the storytellers, the dreamers, the ones who can see the finished cathedral while the AI is still cutting the stones. So let the code write itself. Let the syntax die. Don't mourn the loss of the tool. Celebrate the liberation of the hand. We are not finishing. We are just beginning. The machine has given us back our time. Now it is up to us to decide if we will waste it mourning the past or if we will use it to invent the future. Maybe the future isn't about learning to code anymore. Maybe it's about remembering exactly what it means to be human. Subscribe if you are ready to dream again.